right, so today's project is this awesome teacher or student gift box. I've got some mini colored pencils and a couple of these little crayon shape Post-it pads. And our box is Secret C. So let's go ahead and start with our box base today. I've got a template for you, and I'll show you for the trimming, and a picture will be in the project sheet on the blog later at kitchentablestamper.com. All right, so our Secret C cardstock is 9 5/8 by 7 1/2. We're going to pop that in the Simply Scored scoring tool, and we're going to score at 2 3/4, 3, 3 1/2, 6 1/4, 6 3/4, and 6 7/8. Now on the 6 7/8 and 6 3/4, this little score is very close to this little score, you see? So I suggest that you take the sharper point, the smaller ball on your stylus, and just go over those lines a couple of times. Don't use extraordinary pressure or anything crazy. Just go over them a few times so that when you're trying to score these when you're trying to fold these scores right next to each other, you can get a clean differentiation. If you're not careful, this could turn into one big messy score. So just go over it a couple of times. Then you're going to rotate to the right, go back to that bigger ball on your stylus. No need to, score the paper so heavy on these. But on the 7 1/2 inch side, you're going to score at 1 3/4, 2 1/4, and you're going to score 6 1/2 and 7. 6 1/2 and 7. That is it for our box. You've got a belly band piece in Secret C also. And a little tip for you is when you cut the 11-inch side down to 9 5/8, this piece is the scrap from that first cut, and it also is your belly band. So this piece is 8 inches or 8 1/2 inches by 1 3/8. Okay, but it's nice because it'll use the scrap. And we're gonna work those scores with a bone folder, and we're gonna do carefully where these two little scores are right next to each other. All right, here comes the biggest challenge of this whole project, which is these two little scores that are right next to each other. But if you worked them carefully with the bone folder or with the score tool, using that smaller point of your stylus, you should be able to get two distinct folds here without too much sloppy. Don't go all the way through the paper, though. You can take that little ball and stylus and actually tear through your cardstock, or make a score line that is so deep it will tear. So just be careful. You want to go over it multiple times without a lot of pressure. All right, we've got our little box template here. We're gonna have to do some trimming. All right, I'm gonna get those two close ones carefully. This template and all the measurements will be on the blog in a printable, collectible project sheet. This is what we're gonna cut. So you want your biggest segment, you're on your 9 5/8 inch side, and you've got this 1 3/4 segment at the bottom. And we're gonna cut out from the left side here up 2 score lines, and we're gonna cut in 2 score lines, and we're gonna remove these 2 little rectangles and these 2 big rectangles. And then what we'll do next is go in 1 score line, and we're going to cut an angle and then trim a little angle off this rectangle. This guy stays. Then this one you're going to cut that little wedge out, and then turn and cut this score line out to the next score line. So what we've made is a little glue tab right here. See that? All right, we're going to go from the opposite side and do the same thing. You're going to cut out 4 rectangles, these 2 big ones, these 2 little ones. So up 2 score lines and go in 2 score lines. And then go ahead and remove those 4 rectangles. And then just repeat the tab steps over here. So you'll cut in at this first score line at an angle and cut out the score line. Then bevel this corner. And then you're going to turn and cut this score line out to make a glue tab here. So I'm going to angle that just a little bit. Angle that just a little bit and remove this score line. Let me lay that down flat because the Secret C will have nice contrast against the white background. Now for the top of our box, we're going to rotate 180 and we're going to cut out the 4 rectangles here on the corner. So go in from the left 2 score lines and cut up 2 score lines and remove those 4 rectangles. All right, then you're going to cut on the next score line down 2 score lines and then a little angle to remove the score. Now you've got your tuck tab and we're going to snip off that little piece at the end. Now repeat on the same thing on this side. Go down 2 score lines and cut all the way in 2 score lines. You've got your teeny tiny little rectangles here and your big ones. Cut them out. And you rotate and remove those. In 1 more score line and down 2 score lines. A little angle for the glue tab. And then cut off the trapezoid here at the end of the tab. That is our box. I've made these little flip flat boxes before. You've probably seen them. In fact, I think we had one in our last year 12 Days of Christmas series. So the difference with this one is the fun little pocket inside, and the score lines that you have here, the little ones, adjust the height so that we can tuck those little notepads in. I'll show you that in just a minute. All right, so we've got to put a little finish on the corner. I like the corner rounder, and get some tear and tape to assemble. Got my We Are corner rounder here, and I'm going to round these corners on the smallest section. This is much easier to do when you've got the box flat. All right, now I'm going to turn this so that this guy is toward me. We want to add the tear and tape adhesive, and it all goes on the same side. So I'm going to put my adhesive on these tabs here. And then here. And I love the good contrast. And then we're going to put a little bit here. All right. So now we've got our tear and tape adhesive on all of our glue tabs. Let's go ahead and put this little box together. And we're nearly there on anything that is any sort of complicated. You guys, next up will be assembly, but then comes just decorating. And you can decorate this box however you like. We want to see in the Craft Social what you do with this box template from our Follow Me Through Fall series. All right, so we've got the bottom part here, and this is our pocket that's going to hold those little notepad and pencils. So what I like to do is just kind of fold back these flaps, because we're going to bring this tab up and make a nice corner here. And it's a little bit easier if you fold this flap back. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So just fold this flap back, tuck the tab in, fold up, and there is the bottom of our box. Let's switch to the top of our box before we bring in our pocket. Same thing, just bring back the flap, tuck in the tab, lift, and make a nice corner. And the same thing for our last tab. All right, so you can see where we're going here. These guys now are going to get tucked in, and then you'll bring them into the box. And once they're in the box, you're going to use your bone folder and burnish them. So I'm going to bring this flap up and tip the box to its side, get my bone folder in there, and burnish that adhesive to the side of the box, securing that pocket on that side. To the other side, do the same thing. Pop it in there, bring the box up, and then bone folder in. Let's put that back so you can see. Bone folder in there. Uh-oh, I moved it when I was trying to open it for you. All right, there, now it's back. Bone folder in there, and make that adhesive grab for the pocket. There it is. Done. You did it. Flips and flaps. All right, let's do a little bit of decoration and secure our notebooks. I've got Designer Series paper here, and all the measurements will be on the project sheet. Project sheet will be free on the blog, so no need to scramble, but this is 2 5/8 by 4 1/8. I need some liquid glue. Put that one. This one is for our outside. So flip, flap, and then adhere this one on the front cover. And then inside, we're going to adhere 2 little notepads. I've got 3 little crayon-shaped notepads. 2 of them, I put some tear and tape adhesive on. So let's go ahead and remove the liners on the tear and tape, and we'll get them stuck in. And now this guy, you've got to be very careful. You've got 2 score lines here, and you want your notepad to be stuck just to the left of that first score line. Don't let it pass over that first score line. So you're going to line it up across the bottom, down along the score line. Make sure it doesn't go past the edge of the cover. And then you can burnish that down. Open up. And you've got 2 score lines again. Make sure that you stay to the right of the last score line. Have a little bit of room at the bottom, little border all the way around, and stick that guy in. Now I'm going to turn it like this and burnish those down. Cutie, right? Okay. This little guy and this little guy can go right in the pocket. So more of those little notepads and some pencils. And then we can flip, flap, and set that aside. Let's see here. What do I want to do next? I've got my belly band, that Secret C cardstock, and I'm going to have a little strip for decoration, little Designer Series paper strip for decoration. All right, I just cut a new one because the first one I cut was with a older trimmer blade, and on the Secret C pattern you can really see the fuzzy edges, so I just cut a new one. These are both 8 1/2. This is 1 3/8 by 8 1/2. This is 1 1/8 by 8 1/2. Now what I found the best way to do these belly bands is just to do them separate and not to score them first. All right, we're just going to wrap them. Hold on, you guys. My yellow notepad is a little round on the left side, and it's sticking out the side a little bit, and I don't want that. So I'm just going to grab a little bit more tape and see if I can scoot it over. You know what? I'm going to set this one aside, actually, because the one side is not quite straight, and it's bugging me that it sticks out a little bit. Sorry. Okay. See, it's a little bit rounded, and it's sticking out, and I think I can fix that. I got one of those massive paper trimmers, and I think I can fix that. Or I can do another one where it's just a like 1/8 of an inch wider. It's an easy measurement to fix, and then I can accommodate that one somewhere else. But it was peeking out the side just a little bit, and that was bugging me. All right. Oh, don't peck with your fingernails. Use that. All right, let's get back to our belly band. Hopefully this one's nice and straight on the side. It was weird. It was kind of a crayon with a little bit of a growth on its side. Oh yeah, look at that. So much better. You can even see a little bit of the blue, where the other one was kind of bulbous. All right. All right, back to flip and flap. And now we're going to wrap our belly band. I like to wrap the belly band, you guys, and just kind of wing it for position. And so what I'll do is I'll start it on the front because the tag is going to cover. All right. So I'm planning for my seam to be where I know it's going to be covered. So I'm just going to fold around the box. And then once I've folded around the box, I'll get it straightened out anywhere it needs a little fix in. Then I'm going to use my bone folder, and now I'll get some nice crease or clean creases. But instead of trying to measure out where that's gonna land, based on is one notebook a little thicker than the last one because the notebooks hold up the lid, or any other thing, any other factor. It's just easier to take and make like a personalized belly band for each project. The 8.5 inches will be plenty to go around the project, but who wants to measure all those 16ths to make a belly band work, right? So we got our belly band all ready to go. There's adhesive on the inside of one and the outside of the other side. Then we're gonna just pop it in there and we're gonna wrap it, but we want it so that it's not too tight. Oh, I put them on the opposite side. Hold on. I don't want it to go all the way to the corner because I don't want to see the seam. So I just trimmed it down a little bit there. Now, same thing with our second one. We're going to go around and just make sure that our seam ends where it's going to be covered. Burnish, then make nice creases by using your bone folder. I love this paper, you guys. This is from Celebratory Sips Designer Series paper, by the way. And we're going to do the same thing. Get that in there. And if you want to, for this one, let's use liquid glue, because then it'll adhere to the Secret-See. And just do a little squiggle all the way down. And drop that in. Wrap it up. Make sure it's centered on the Secret-See. Check all the way around. Looks good. And there is your fancy belly band without any fancy measuring. I don't like 16ths, and that's what you got to do to make a belly band slide. All right, so we've got our box. All the construction stuff is done. Now it's time to decorate. Let me start with a little bit of stamping here. I've got some basic white cardstock. I'm not going to stamp all of these images. I have a few made by Magic of Television, but we'll demonstrate everything for you because we have a few repeat elements, right? So the first thing I want to start with is our notebook paper. I've got the Just a Note bundle for that notebook paper. This die set's adorable. Well, Just a Note. And if you don't want to get bundled with the Just a Note stamp set, that's okay. Think about it. Just the dies are awesome. But we're going to stamp the lines on some basic white. And I've got the Cloud Cover ink pad here. It was only available to demonstrators, I know, but you could do a spot with Cloud Cover ink to get your stamping done. I personally want every ink pad to match all my cardstock, so I got this one. Demonstrators can order the Cloud Cover ink pad still, and it is on last chance for demonstrators at a discount. So if you really want to get your hands on a Cloud Cover ink pad, I've been happy with mine so far. You can do that as a demonstrator. You just join my team. We'd love to have you. If you want to do your lines in Pool Party, those look good. I've done it in Azure Afternoon. All those look good for notebook paper lines, but there's the lines for your notebook paper. And we're going to cut it out with the die and the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Let me grab that guy. And for this project, exactly the way I have it, you want to make 2 of these. All right, so 2 notebook pages for this project. I'm going to pop this on and line it up. I want the lines about center, but I want a nice big top margin like a notebook paper would have. And there we go. Let's give that a crank. And there's our notebook paper. Now let's get that margin line on there, because if you're like me, you like things cute, but cute and literal. So I'm going to grab my grid paper here, and I'm going to line my notebook paper up on one of those grids. Then I'm going to line my ruler up on one of those grids also, just because I want a really nice straight line and I don't want it to go uphill or downhill. So having the grid paper really helps you do that. You can just put the ruler along the line. And then Stampin' Right marker and just hold that and swipe right down the page. Now you really got a notebook paper, don't you think? That little detail, I think, really takes it. All right, I've got real red for my Stampin' Right marker there, by the way. And we've got 2 of these prepared. Okay, let's slide those aside. And then the next thing I'm going to show you is a little more stamping. Let me find my white scraps and some ink pads here. I did some different combinations with the books. And so we're just going to stamp a couple of books. And I'll show you what I did for the apple. Show you what I did for the pencil. And then I'll give you a couple of little alternatives that might be a little more multiples friendly. Okay, so if you're making a lot of this project, you might not want to do the cutting and bumping, maybe the multicolor stamping of these things. So there's definitely some places where you can cut down the amount of, I guess, the amount of labor on these. I love every little detail, so that's what I'm going to show you. But I'll make some comments along the way of how you can kind of make these a little less complicated. I'm using the School Days stamp set now. And I've got in front of me some Real Red, Old Olive, and Secret Sea. I'm going to start with those. I'm going to do some books. Now, the book is 2 in a stack. So what I did was I stamped some in Secret Sea, stamped some in Cloud Cover, I stamped some in Real Red. For the purposes of this video, I'm just stamping a couple in Secret Sea. I already have a few others ready to go. And then I've got an apple here. And I'm going to stamp the apple in Old Olive. And then I'm going to clean it off and stamp in Real Red. I've got 3 of these apples on my project. Got 2 little stacks of books. Some of them I modified to make them 3 stacks or 3 books high, which is really nice about this image. You can modify them. I've also got a pencil here. We're going to do one of those. And the pencil is stamped and already cut out. That's Strawberry Slush. And now I'm going to grab my little pencil and a scrap, some crushed curry ink. So I stamped it in the pink. I'm going to clean it off, stamp it in crushed curry, and then I'm going to clean it off, and I stamped just the point ends with crumb cake. Okay, so those are already ready. I'm going to show you how I did the pencil there in just a minute. While we're stamping, I'm going to get my little notebook paper here. And on the bottom of this one, I put "You Make a World of Difference." I'm going to do that one in Memento Tuxedo Black on one of our notebook pages. Ooh, there's a bunch of white ink on my block. I hope I can see where I'm going to line this on the lines. Okay, take a deep breath. Stamp. You make a world of difference. Love it. I hope that you're loving it. I did another bit of die cutting ahead here. I've got 2 little oblong shapes. This I cut using the More Messages die. Got a basic white and a cloud cover. I'm just going to stack them up. And you can put this on your paper trimmer, or you can do your scissors, but you just want to cut the rounded end off of one side. Just barely snip. You don't want to take much off. And now you've got a cute little tag and its layer. I'm going to, I should have used a paper trimmer. I am notorious for not having my eyes on straight. That's a little better. Okay. There, better. Okay, needed a haircut. Thank you comes from that same School Days stamp set. We're going to pop that on there all the way to the left and set that one aside. I think we've done some examples of everything we're going to do for stamping. So let's go ahead and let me show you how I put these all together. All right, so this is where we're at now. We can remove our belly band and go ahead and we can adhere our "You Make a Difference" to the inside. What I found is that the notebook paper is about the size of my box, so I'm going to just take a hair off with the paper trimmer. So I'm going to pop that in there. I'm going to take barely a smidge off the edge here like 1/8. How about we do 1/8? 1/8 might be a smidgy bit more than a smidge, but we're gonna take about 1/8 off of there. And then our other notebook page goes on the inside. So let's go ahead and haircut about a 1/8, almost 1/8 smidge off of this one too. Now while we're trimming, this is gonna go in our pocket. Our pocket is 1 3/4 inches. So what I want to do is cut this guy at 1 3/4, but I want the top margin. So 1 3/4. All right, so there's our notebook pages that we can go ahead and glue in now. I hope you're loving this project, because as much as I am loving putting it together for you, you guys. All right, here's our, you make a difference. Leave a little bit of room at the top because I'm going to show you a cute little die cut we're going to use to embellish. This one's going to fill the whole inside pocket. A dot is a lot. There we go. I'm going to pop that there. That just makes me so happy. I hope you guys are loving it. Thank you can get adhered to its base or its mat tag. So we're going to add a little smidge of glue and then line this up, and then we'll punch a hole in it using a 1/8 inch circle punch. I love this more messages and turning the more message greeting into a little tag. Awesome. Buy the more messages, get the tag shapes for free. All you need is a 1/8 inch circle punch. All right, so we can set that aside. That one's ready for our front. Got those couple of things that I showed you here. Let's stack these up and move them aside for a minute, because we're going to do a bit of trimming here. Okay, so the front of our tag, I took one set of Old Olive books. I cut it out, and then I took a set of cloud cover books, cut it apart, and made a 2-color stack by gluing the cloud cover one onto the Old Olive. So it's one piece, the bottom is Old Olive, and I just glued the cloud cover on top. So what I'm going to do is just kind of demonstrate the idea here. We're going to cut out the blue, because for the inside one, we're going to do a little different. So we started with a blue one like this. We took a cloud cover one and stuck the cloud cover one onto the blue. So when I separated this cloud cover one into just 2 pieces, I just separated it and glued it onto the base of a different color. So that's what we're going to do with this one. We're going to separate this one into 2 pieces. They're a super simple fussy cut. The nice part is you can have them as a stack of 2. You could grow them into a stack of 3 like I did on this tag. You could keep stacking them up this way. You could put them on their sides and just line up all the big books in a row like they would be on a shelf. Do you see? There's a lot of versatility here. So when I did these, one base is green, one base or Old Olive, one base is Secret Sea. I cut the cloud cover apart like this, and then put the cloud cover on top of the Secret Sea and the other cloud cover on top of the Old Olive. And that's how I got some multicolor stacks here. And I want this one extra, so I'm going to hold on to that. And then we're going to look at our apple. For my apple, I'm doing the same kind of like stamp it in a couple of colors, layer it up to get a multicolor look. This is how I do for the front because there's a dimensional on it. So I'm going to do my base in Old Olive, and I'm going to cut out including the stem. So a little wiggle cut here. And then we're going to layer to make our multicolor apple. For the red part of the apple, we'll cut around and leave a little border, except for when we get to the stem. And in that case, we're going to cut right off and go right down to the red there, and then resume with the little white border. All right, now we're going to add a little bit of glue on the green, and we're going to put the red over top. There's our books, our apple. For our pencil, I got the pink base and it's already cut out. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to snip out the point from Crumb Cake. And it's a pretty easy cut. It's just a triangle, 3 straight lines. And then once you've got it cut out, don't lose it. Just set it aside. We're going to cut out the barrel from the yellow. Now, you can take your Stampin' Write markers on the photopolymer stamp and color this pencil, the tip, Crumb Cake, the barrel, Crushed Curry, Huff, color the eraser, Strawberry Slush, and then try to stamp the multicolor image. I'm really bad at that technique. I'm much better at stamping and cutting, so that's why I choose to do it this way. You could also just stamp your pencil in yellow. Pick Crushed Curry, go ahead and stamp it with Crushed Curry and leave it be if you're making a lot of these. And put a little glue on the barrel. I'm going to grab my Take Your Pick tool. I just took it apart. I'm going to pick up the barrel and I'm going to lay it over the pink pencil. Now I've got a pink and yellow pencil, and then I'm going to take a dot of glue. I've got the Crumb Cake tip on the Take Your Pick tool. Dab of glue. Use the Take Your Pick tool to drop the point on the end. Use the other end of your Take Your Pick tool to hold it down while you remove the putty end. And there's your tricolor pencil. And because I'm a sucker for the cute little details, I'm also going to grab my Stampin' Write marker and draw a little lead on the end of the pencil. All right, so there's the elements that I'm using to decorate this and how I did them all. Let me show you die cut elements real quick. These are also from Just a Note. Got a binder clip. This is basic black and smoky slate. I cut 3 of these clips. These are Crushed Curry. I've already laminated, like glued together in layers. There's 2 that are glued together here. We're going to take another little bit of liquid glue, and less is more, but you want to kind of get it everywhere. And then we're going to put a 3rd layer on top. So this is three thick right now. Do you need to make it 3 thick? No, you don't. But it's going to go on the top edge of the pocket here, and things are going to come out from behind it. And the 3 thick does just make it a little bit more able to withstand things going into the pocket and out of the pocket. And you know, when you show this to somebody, they're going to show it to their friends, and they're going to, it's going to get handled. So that's why I laminated 3 of them together. Cut it 3 times from Crushed Curry, glued them all together, and then just took a little glue and put it to the top of my there. Now I'm going to put the apple on here also. Let's open this up so you can see what I'm doing. And if you didn't want to cut out your apples and glue them on, say you're making a bunch of these, you could stamp the apple using that technique where you color the stamp different colors and stamp it right on the notebook paper. You could stamp the green one right on the notebook paper and then put the red one over, just cut and put the red one over. So there's a couple of steps that you could do to make that a little more simple if you're making a bunch of them. Let's turn to our next page in, and we've got our books, our pencil. These are for our cover. our binder clip. We'll set those books aside for a minute. I'm going to get my my mat here again, my silicone mat, because we're going to put a dab of glue on the back side of the smoky slate part of the binder clip. And so see, I just got a dot of glue at the very ends. I'm going to put this on my binder clip, and I'm going to let that sit for a second. It's stuck to my finger. Stuck to my finger. Let that sit for a second to set up. I'm going to put my pencil on here. Now here, again, you can do like I did and make your element and then glue your element to the notebook paper. Or before you put your notebook paper, you could stamp the pink one on the notebook paper and then just add the other 2 layers over. Or you could stamp the whole thing in yellow, do it in the crushed curry, and then maybe take a marker, make the eraser pink. You can try coloring over. You could put the little black detail. So you could stamp this pencil right onto the, if you wanted to, especially if you're making a lot of these. You could also stamp the blue books onto and then just layer the cloud cover one over. So you could stamp these 2, at least the bottom layer if you wanted to, on the notebook paper. In the design process, like to make the little elements because then I can move them all around in the design process. That's how mine always end up being separate elements like that. But the other thing is too, if you stamp the lines on and then you stamp over the lines, you're going to see the lines through. So you have to take that into account too. What color are you stamping over the lines? So it's up to you. You can do more simple decorations too. That would be okay. You could just leave the notebook paper blank so that, you know, maybe your child could put a little note to the teacher handwritten in there. That'd be a really cute keepsake, especially for lower grades. If a child or a grandchild wrote their own little message to their teacher in their own little handwriting, you can do that in this page. We're going to add our little binder clip at the top with a little liquid glue. And there is our inside flap. Now we can close up and put our belly band back on. I hope you guys are really loving the project. I had so much fun designing this box for you. It only took me 5 tries. All right, now let's get this out of the way. I've got some die cut done over here. This is the pattern tags. These just became available to customers. They were on pre-order. They're from the Stampin' Up's newest product release. I'm really loving this tag. It's got this crazy reinforcer's basic black, tag basic white. I thought that this basic black element on the white kind of repeated the element from the inside. That's why I chose those colors. I'm going to take some dimensionals. I love it here. You can use black or white dimensionals, which I think is pretty cool because we've got the dark Secret C belly band, but the white tag. So I'm going to put that right over those seams. And then we can add our tag to the belly band. Be careful, I always put the adhesive on the belly band instead of on the tag. If it's on the belly band, you know that you didn't just glue your box shut. If you just guess and put it on the tag and then stick it down, you can glue the belly band to your box. So just keep that in mind. Let me pull this down just a little bit so I can kind of position my tag where I want it. A little off to the right, and there's our tag. Let's put this guy back together now so you can see how we're finishing this off. The only thing we have left to do here is decorate our tag. So I've got another one of those pencils and apples. I've already got dimensionals on them. This one, you can't necessarily stamp the pencil on the tag because the pencil's a little longer, just a smidge longer than the tag, but you can absolutely stamp the books, the apple. You could stamp them directly on the tag. You don't have to stamp them separately. If you do stamp them separately like I did and cut them all out, then you can bump them all up, which is kind of a fun advantage. I got that Secrecy book that we did, and I'm going to put a little bit of dimensional on the back of there. I've already got dimensionals on the back of my other books, and this is fun that you can have with this. You don't have to have a stack of 2 books. You could have a whole shelf of books. Just cut the long one or just cut the short one and do them in multicolor across something. Or you can have a stack of 3 or 4 or 5, whatever you want to do. I'm going to swap so the little spine has 2 and then 1. So I'm going to put this one so that it has 2 and then 1, see? Which adds a little interest to my stack. Put that guy. Ooh. And then this guy. And then my apple. It's so cute the way it just comes together with all the different colors. I love it. I hope that you love it too. We're going to do a little embellishing next. Get that apple on there. I'm using my Very Vanilla and black check ribbon. It's, let's see here. I know it's retired, but it was the perfect one for this. And if you have been involved with me, you've probably gotten a couple of rolls of these in class packets and things. You can do whatever you like here. Some Secrecy ribbon might be nice to bring the Secrecy back up to the top. There's been a few different white ribbons that you can color. If you've got any of the black and white gingham, those would be good here. And you could probably try some real red and white baker's twine if you wanted to. It'd be a good way to pull some more pattern through in colors that we're working on. But I think I got 5 rolls of this in my drawer. So I am using the vanilla and black. It just recently went on Last Chance and sold out. But I do like the extra bit of kind of old time school pattern or feel that pattern brings. I'm going to get a little bit of linen thread here. Got all the scissors. What else is new? Do you know that there are 4 pairs of scissors on the table right now? I always have all the scissors. All right, we're going to fold it in half, put the loop, the folded part, through the front of the tag, and then put the tails through the loop and pull. I'm going to get a dimensional or 2 maybe. We'll see. We'll start with 1. See if it's strong enough. At the very top of the tag, put the tag where you want it to sit. And then I'm going to get some glue dots. Where are you, glue dots? Here you are. And I'm going to add a couple of glue dots on the back of my bow. 1, 2, kind of side by side. Going to sandwich that twine under the bow. Grab the ends of the twine, make a thread knot, and then pull. Then I will trim the excess off of there. My last touch, you guys, I hope you don't find these to be a stretch. I wanted to bring some more black, some little pop of black, because all the other pages have the little binder clip, or we did the black at the top of here and then put the ribbon over it. So it's still looking for a little something. There's a star die cut that's in the Just a Note dies, but it wasn't quite doing it for me because it was really big. So I just grabbed these foam adhesive ones. These are Shimmer Star foam stickers, and I added a few of those. I thought it made a nice little contrast. And that is it, you guys. We did it. We have made our school days teacher or student. This would be good for your students, the little students in your life. Maybe for some grandkids, then you might go a little extra details because it's satisfying for you and it's wow for them. only making a couple of them. If you're making a lot of them, hopefully the tips along the way to kind of simplify were helpful. If you've got any questions about the project, you can email marissa@kitchentablestamper.com. And to shop Stampin' Up! 24/7, you can buzz over to marissaAlvarez.stampinup.net. Thanks for watching.